MCA stands for Merchant Cash Advance. Okay, so consider this the payday loan for businesses.
If you don't have good credit, please, that's where you have to start.
But you have to be making
Money.
good income.
Yeah.
Like, this is not for those that are barely making it. You know, this is for those people that really are making large amounts of money, that have, you know, different moves they can make to cover this if everything went bad.
These lenders have to make a quota. They have to make a quota each month.
When you just have a job, you get the payday loan. When you have the business, you get the merchant cash advance, which is the same kind of thing.
The only way that I would even consider anything like this if I gotta make payroll. We get into these MCA loans, these merch accounts.
Yes, we are.
This is something that me and Ashton been talking about for a long time. And when we talk about them, a lot of times it's not in a good way.
Not at
right?
all.
Not at all, right?
No.
But sometimes they are necessary.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think it's the most popular loan type in the business world, especially for those making anywhere over 10K a month. Like, you've probably already got solicited about this.
Right.
And one of the issues that I see is a lot of people in my world, or Dwayne's world, in terms of like this world of funding, they are exclusively talking about, oh yeah, I can get you $200,000 or $100,000 or $50,000. Give me 2 days, and what happens is a lot of people don't understand the repercussions, of these types of loans, if they even want to call them a loan, because they're more of an advance,
yes,
to be honest with you.
Yes.
But when you receive them, it puts you in quite of a situation. So we're going to get into kind of like how that whole process works. But Dwayne, just talk about, from your perspective, have you been solicited about these different types of loans, like any type of marketing tactics they've already done to kind of contact you?
Oh yeah, so I'm sure if you are in business, right, you got a text. If you put your number or business number out there anywhere, you got a text from somebody that you didn't know. They got your information. That's soliciting you, right? They're saying, hey, all we need is 3 months of banking statements, right? If you get a text from that, it's an MCA loan. It's not anything that's traditional, right? So I've got them texts on my phone because in the past I've done where I've applied for loans through different agencies, and they actually go off to a whole different market, right? So when you get these calls and you get on the phone with these people, the first thing they're gonna ask you for is what? Your banking statements.
Bank statements every time.
Statements. Listen, they don't care what your credit score is.
Not at all.
Listen, you can have a 480.
Yeah, 480, 380.
Listen, if you go with these people and they see you and you send them banking statements and they see that you're making money, they're gonna give you some money. Right? Now, when we say give you some money, now you're giving them money daily.
Exactly.
You're literally giving them money out. They're going to be taking money because, believe me, before you even get this money, they're going to have your banking information, right? Because they're going to be debiting your banking information every day, right? There's nothing you can do about it until you pay these people, period, right? So when you get into bed with these people, you got to understand what you're dealing with, right? So the only way that I would even consider anything like this if I got to make payroll.
Right. Yeah.
If I got, because we got other families depending on us.
Exactly.
Right. I got employees depending on us.
100%.
So the only way that I'm going to accept this or deal with me personally, like, some people might be a little different, situations.
Right.
But me personally, the only way that I'm going to deal with that because I know I have families that, that work, employees that work for us that we need to pay out. If you know you have that, you have to take that loan, man. Because you want to make sure you keep your employees, good, you know?
Yeah, let me just kind of clarify for those of you that may not understand. So MCA stands for Merchant Cash Advance, okay? So consider this the payday loan for businesses.
Correct.
All right? So what I mean by that is these lenders will solicit you, because you can keep in mind, when you have like a bad credit score, a lot of times you can't go to the bank to get a personal or a business loan, right? Or even a credit card. So when you just have a job, you get the payday loan. When you have the business, you get the merchant cash advance, which is the same kind of thing. So this is typically how a lot of the terms work. Now, there's different types of MCAs.
Sorry to interrupt you. We get into, when you do get into some of these MCA loans, they literally put liens against your business.
Right, exactly.
Explain that to some of these folks, man, so they understand that.
Yeah, and so when you get the merchant cash advance, they'll say, hey, they'll look at your bank statements, and let's say, you're making $20,000 a month on average from your business. They can give you anywhere between the 20 or 15, thousand, anywhere in that range in a loan. Sometimes what happens is people get multiple MCA loans, but every loan, when they do this, they give you like a position. So what that means is just like kind of similar to a mortgage, but a lot different in terms of the penalty. So when it comes down to it, they'll have first position. So for the merchant cash advance lender, they want you to basically say, hey, I'm cool with this daily or weekly payment. That weekly payment or daily payment, let's say that could be $200, $300, $400 a day, depending on how much you make, or maybe as low as $50 a day, depending on how much you make. But you also have the weekly terms, which could be $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 or higher a week. Meaning that if you don't make X amount of dollars more than that, you're going to be in a situation. And that is what causes a lot of problems for a lot of business owners.
Yeah, definitely does. So, and that being said, you have to understand, right? You definitely have to understand your situation, right? When you get into these, because you got to understand these lenders have to make a quota. They have to make a quota each month. So when they solicit you, they're actually like, okay, they probably sent that same text off to 30 or 40 or 300 people just to get 15 or 20 people to respond to it so they can make their quota for the month, right? And they make a lot of money off of you, a lot of money. When I say that, so just imagine Ashton is used, for example, as a daily loan, you're paying $200 or $300 a day.
Right.
Add that up for the month.
Right.
Right. Now they only do Monday through Friday, but still add that up. Just add $200 a day. That's $1,000 a week.
Right.
That's $4,000 a month. Now, if your business is making $20,000, right, and you got 3 of these, and you're paying $4,000 a month, you're
gonna be in a hole out of this world.
You actually bring your home $4,000 a month. I hope you ain't got a mortgage.
Exactly. Don't worry about your mortgage or rent. Yeah, God got you.
Right. So now, guess what? Whoever brokered you or whoever did that for you, guess what? You're pissed off at them, right? But in all actuality, it's your fault. Because you should understand these MCA loans before you even get into bed with these people. Yeah. Because they're going to give you the money without question. As long as they see your bank statements and see you making money, they could care less if you got expedition outside or Escalade outside or whatever your car. They don't care about none of the bills that you have. They care about you paying that bill to them. Because whoever brokered you that loan through that lending company is getting paid.
Right.
They're making money. Right. And, to break it really, I have clients who've taken these loans, right, and don't say anything to you.
Right.
Right? And then get pissed off at you. Right?
Exactly.
Right? We get mad at you. Like, I had a client, he had a day loan, worked all the way through it, paid it off. I think it was 9 months, daily.
Right.
Paid it off. And guess what? Got right back into bed with these people.
Exactly.
You know, called me. I was like, hey man, you know, I see, you know, you paid it off. Oh man, I had a situation, so I had to go back. I couldn't even imagine that. I didn't even know what to say to the client. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to say something that he probably wouldn't have been a client after what I said to him.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. There's that.
You just, I mean, when you get into these loans, there's no way out. This man actually paid it. He was making decent money. You know what I mean? I think, 30,
Yeah, 30K.
30K a month, right? But he couldn't even see the money he was making, right? Because so much was coming out daily in his accounts.
Right.
Right. So now, guess what? When you go to do taxes for this, these people are going to be like, hold on, right? You're making $30,000 a month, but you're only bringing in $6,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like,
Yeah.
What happened? You know? And try to explain that to your tax adjuster.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The person who's doing your taxes, they're going to look at you like, please don't take these loans again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And the crazy thing is like when you take the loan or advance,
advance.
What takes place is they put a lien on your business. That's what the first position is about.
Yeah.
So when you get that lien, that means that anything that goes on in terms of the sale of the business, or if you have a situation where the business has to get closed, you got to pay them no matter what. Additionally to that, if a situation happens where you want to get another loan from another lender, they have to get paid back first. So what that does is, from a new bank or a new lender's perspective, if they give you money, they know that you're going to have, especially if you don't make enough, you will have an issue, because now you got to pay the first position lender back and then pay them. Do you make enough to do that? And then they look at your industry, how often that people in your exact situation default based off the industry, your credit, your income, where you live at. All those factors matter. So if you don't understand this and you are in a rush to get funding, the temptation is to take those loans because you can only think about your right now problem.
Right.
And that's where a lot of times people struggle, because they will fix the immediate knee-jerk situation.
Right.
Because I have clients that have great scores that are, we've helped get funding for a long period of time. But sometimes if you're getting a loan or a line of credit from a bank, especially for a larger amount of money, like the $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 mark, then they will take some time. They want all these docs. They want a profit and loss. They want a balance sheet. They want your business desk schedule, a personal financial statement. They're asking for your 2 years or even 3 years personal and business taxes. I've had them ask for a resume. They want a proof of your lease, your ID, obviously the regular identification documents. So it deters a lot of people, because you can go through that whole process and still not get approved. And that could take you sometimes a month, or 2 or 3. So in terms of speed, those can work in terms of like the merchant cash advance. But in terms of the end result, you can be in a situation. Now, do banks put liens on your file too? Yes. But again, your terms are workable, because when you do these merchant cash advance loans, they will go and contact, if you default and you can't afford to pay them, they can contact your clients and tell them to pay the lender and not you, because they got a lien on your business.
Oh, my goodness.
That's how real it gets.
Right. Real. And merchant, when you get into these advances, exactly, that's a great word. Advances, right?
Exactly what they are.
And your company doesn't qualify for traditional, right? So when you that's the only reason you're in this situation, right? Because your company, your business does not qualify for these loans, right? For a traditional loan.
Exactly.
Right? So now you're going to these people, like, just think of it like this, right? You're going to a doctor, right? A regular doctor, right? And you go into this doctor's office, like a regular doctor, sitting there, you know, going through that. And now the same procedures you want, you go into Rio.
Right.
You go to Rio to get it done, right? You know, we talking about I ain't talking about butt lifts or nothing like that, but I'm just talking about just surgeries in general. You might want to get your teeth done, something like that. But when you go into another country, what are you doing? You're risking, right? Because the quality of healthcare that's in the States compared to there is totally different, right? So you can kind of add that, you know, put that as a scenario, or not a scenario as far as what do they call that? A metaphor. Right, to where you're sitting in the United States, right, and you want to go somewhere else to go get a surgery, right? It's gonna be cheaper going somewhere else, right?
Right.
But when you're in the States, you're gonna get the quality. It's gonna be more expensive, but you're gonna get the quality work you need, right?
Right.
So if you don't have good credit, right, you're going to Rio, you're going to Brazil, to get a butt lift.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to Rio to get it instead of getting it in the United States.
Oh my God. Y'all hear this?
I mean, when you think about it, right?
I get it, though.
You know what I mean? The whole metaphor of that, because now you don't. What it boils down to is you don't have the credit to go to Capital One. You don't have the credit to go to Bank of America, right? So now you go into these lenders. Name one, Biz.
Yeah.
Biz funding. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. Hold on. We got to do this. Well, what does it say? I ain't going to use him. I don't want to get sued. So,
allegedly.
So let's just say.
Well, there's several. There's like Video Fans. There's Fun Kite. Some of them are better than others. Obviously, some of them are not all equally bad. Like there's LCF, which is
but they all had the same thing. At the end of the day, it's all the same thing. They can have the different names and all that, but at the end of the day, if you're paying a daily loan, it's not good for you. You know, not unless you're making the money in your business to actually cover it. You know, because if you can't cover it, it's gonna get real ugly for you.
Yeah, and you know what? There's another scam going on within this process too, outside of the regular nonsense of the MCA in the first place.
Yeah.
There are brokers / lenders that will sell you to say, hey, you apply on our website, we'll give you a $300,000 line of credit. So they'll put it there virtually so you can log in and see, hey, I got a $300,000 line of credit. But then they want you to take another loan, see how you pay that to release $300,000 to you. That's an additional scam, because what they do is they'll tell you, take this $30,000 loan, pay it back 2-3 days later. So that payback could be $45K. That lender or person, whoever finessed and tried to get you to do that, just came up on $15,000 extra, and then they disappear. And that $300,000 line of credit never comes. I've seen this happen with multiple clients. One of them, I told him up front, hey, this sounds too good to be true. Don't do it. This is not, one of the people that we trust or would recommend, because we can't take that type of gamble with any client we work with. He didn't listen. He took the 30. They lied and said, you're going to give you the $300,000. They disappeared, changed numbers, never answered his call again. And they do this regularly to several people. And so what happens is, if you look at a lot of the reviews on some of these merchant cash advance companies, you'll see lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. But people don't check the lender because they're giving them the money. So they're not even thinking that this company could be scamming when they're the one putting the money up, but they're actually still doing this. That's the crazy part. This stuff gets deep.
Definitely gets deep. So when with us, with the receipts only, right? What we try to do and what we're going to try to assist you with is this. You have to have your credit straight. You got to start off with personal good credit. Now, that's going to help with your business, but you can always PG your credit and go get yourself a traditional loan instead of going through these shady lenders, right? So, our brother Umar, that's what he does. He's going to make sure that your credit is straight before we even take you to go get lending, because we're not going to take you to an MCA. We're not going to take you to a lender that even offers that. We want to keep you away from that. If you sit down with any type of broker, anybody that's helping you with funding, and they're offering you MCA loans, run immediately.
Right.
Get the hell out of the office.
Right.
Or delete the email. Get away from them.
Right.
Because they're going to, listen, if they're sitting there offering you that, they're making more money than you do. Or just offer brokering the deal.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if the same loan, say they get you $30,000, right? So if we take you to a traditional loan and get you $30,000, it might be between it depends on the interest rate, between $500 and $800 a month. But if you get it through an MCA, you are at least, I can't even, let's just from my experiences from people that I've talked to and went through it, they're paying at least that a week. You know, $300 to $800 a week.
Right.
Right? Now, that's for the same $30,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the same $30,000 that you can go get your personal credit together and have that same loan for that monthly. So now you're paying 3 times the amount for that loan.
Exactly.
You know, because your credit is not on point.
Right. And that's the penalty of having the credit jacked up, because some people come to us or they'll say like, oh yeah, well, you know, I don't want to pay whatever number it is to, you know, work with Umar and to get their credit done. And it's like, wait a minute. How much is it costing you though?
Right.
How much is it costing you to have this problem? How many opportunities can you not have? Because I can assure you, let you miss a payment or can't afford to pay your rent, and now you're in a situation. Now what? Oh, wait, I have to come up with X amount of dollars, and my credit's too bad. So even if I have all the money possible, some places won't even let me in unless I put 3, 4, 5 months down up front.
Up front.
You know, there's a lot of places. Or you go to a risque area that deals with a different crowd and lets that happen, but now you got safety matters. So it's like, which problem do you want to have? So the cost of not wanting to fix the real issue is way more of an issue or way more expensive, for you to decide, I don't want to get my credit worked on. I would rather just take the nonsense loan because I don't want to come up with the money to pay for that service.
Right.
It's the stupidest thing ever. And this is what keeps people in the hole, because you're going to end up in a worse situation. Because again, if you don't work on the credit and you don't put yourself in a situation where you can get access to real funding from real lenders and not go through doing the basics. Like we talk about, like so many clients, they're cool with being basic. They hear all these people on TikTok talking about, oh yeah, you can get this loan and that loan and that loan, no docs. Why don't you have docs?
Right. Right.
That's the first question you get. Yeah. Why don't you have them?
Yeah.
Who told you it was okay?
Yeah.
If you want to get to the top of business, forget the lending, even outside of lending, you need to have docs. You need to know what your balance sheet is. You need to have a profit and loss statement.
Definitely.
You need to know, am I profitable or am I not? This is stuff you're actually supposed to be doing. This is not even like wrong for the bank to ask you that question.
Right.
You want to have taxes done. Yeah, so you know how much you did make. And then when you deal with the lenders or you deal with, getting larger amounts of funding, now you can qualify because you've been managing your funds correctly. Stop trying to be basic and get, I got a 700 score. Let me go get a whole bunch of no doc loans or because if you ain't got the docs, you might not be that financially organized. You just might have a lot of money.
Right.
Or you might make a lot of money. You might be good at that part, which is great. Don't get me wrong. You got to get that right too. It's very important. But if you don't get yourself financially organized and more importantly, financially verifiable, you're going to be in the hole regardless.
Yeah. And what, Receipts Only offers is this, right? We can literally sit down with your business, look at the back end of why you're not getting funded for the traditional loans, right? Because a lot of times when you open up your LLCs or whatever you open up as far as the back end of businesses, right? You putting down your personal cell phone, You have you're using, we already discussed this, you're using Regis and all these. Now what are they doing now? They're pulling up to these addresses.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They're pulling up to these addresses that
So
you're putting down as virtual addresses. They're pulling up to these addresses now, right? So now, they used to just get online and look and say, oh, this is the address, and you got a building on there, and that they was accepting that.
Right.
Now they're not accepting that any longer. Right, so it's better for you, because they you got a lot of people on TikTok and all these social media saying, "Oh, don't put your home address on there." It's best to do that now. It's a better outlet because now you're verifiable, right? Which makes everything a lot easier. A lot of these lenders want to be able to verify you, right, to prove who you are. Right. Now we're getting out of the MCAs. We're getting to the back end of your businesses of why you're not being accepted for traditional lending, right? Why you have to go to these, because these MCA lenders, they ain't gonna look at that. Right. They care less where you live at.
No.
They don't care if you got a business address or not. All they want to see is 3 months of bank statements.
Right.
That's
you have the money to pay back.
That's it. And if that's all you got, that's the situation you're gonna put yourself into, where now you're paying someone daily.
Right. And it's such a temptation to go down that path because it's quicker. You don't have to have yourself together. But always ask yourself the question, how much is it costing me to not have myself together? Not just in terms of credit. That's just one part of the battle. Because when it comes to getting large loans, there's like several different components. Your credit, your income, your industry. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very important to be in the right industry. All right. That's very important. And then your actual deposits, meaning that not just how much you made, but how much you keep in the bank. And can you put in $3, $4, $5, $10, $20, $50,000, $100,000 in a new bank to build that relationship? Or do you only do $20, $25, $35, or $50 or $100, whatever the minimum is? So when it comes to getting funding, it's an overall picture. And there's even more details. I can go for hours on how deep it goes. But I want you to understand this, because when it comes to getting like large amounts of money, you want to have your stuff organized. Everything that we talk about here is coming from verified information.
Yeah, experience.
Exactly. Because we've been doing funding for a long time. Helped a lot of people raise a lot of money. And I've also seen a lot of people who thought they had it together get declined because of small details like that. So this is why I said you can check. If you can literally go on my LinkedIn, look up Ashton Sanders. You can see everybody I'm connected with and how many vice presidents, presidents of the banks, senior business bankers, so you can see that the information that we're talking about is not coming from a theory or a hope to God or a maybe. This is coming from actually working with multiple people at multiple banks. So when we go through this, we want you to understand that stop trying to do the bare minimum and really push yourself to go to the next level when it comes to your lending and when it comes to your borrowability. Because if you want to get to that top level, you need to have an ongoing relationship with banks. So that means that you also need to have an ongoing relationship with your accountant or whoever you're working with, so that way they can help you get organized. Definitely.
I definitely agree with that, brother. When we actually did this, and this is the receipts only side chats, right? So when we're talking about this, we're particularly talking about, we're getting into other things, right? Because we want to discuss with you everything that you're going to need when you sit down with us, right? Or we're going to assist you with, okay? So when you sit down and we sit, you come with us, you sit down, you say, okay, my business is from, let's just state, Maryland. We're going to go to Secretary of State and look to make sure that your business is up to a standard. I mean, it's up to par. Well, what do they call it? When you go to the Secretary of State in good standings. Yeah. We want to make sure that your business is in good standings, because if you don't have that,
you're already out the game.
You're already out the game.
You're out the game, even for the MCA lenders. They can't even give you the money. Right. That's how bad that is.
That's what we're talking about, the back end of your business.
Right, exactly.
You got to have, even the phone numbers. Like, you don't realize, like, these lenders, investigate you. That's what it is. It's investigating you, right? For traditional lending, right? But these MCAs, they don't care. They do not care. They listen. You can give them three banking statements, and they're going to give you what you qualify for, right? If you can't handle them payments, they're going to show you what life's really about, right? In this business world, and it's not good sometimes.
Yeah, I've even seen a scenario where they held one client. Since he didn't pay, so then they did. There's a stop payment fee that you get. So that means that they can't charge your bank account because you called your bank and said, "Hey, I can't afford to pay this. People know back anymore." So remember, if you've gotten to that point, you probably got several hundreds or thousands in overdraft fees already, separate from the amount of money you owe the lender or this advance company. Then you also got to factor in, now you can't even use this bank account to make money. You got to have a whole other bank that you're using to accept payments because of this problem, right? Because you took this deal out. Not to mention, there's a lien on your business, so it's going to be harder to get even more money after that. So now you're really going to have to hustle and work your way out. That's why we advise against it so strongly.
And that, we have an event in New York. It's October 11th. If you can make it and you have a business, you need to get there, right? If you have an issue, even if you're not, you need to get to New York and check us out, because we will definitely be able to assist you in every aspect of your business, every aspect. And when I say that, because we just had events in Houston and Atlanta. We had folks come to us, and some people had took them loans. Right? And the only thing we're trying to do is get you out of that. So, and where that starts at is your personal credit. You gotta have that. So you gotta start with Brother Umar. Brother Umar is gonna get you out of that, get your personal credit up to par. That way we can assist you on the back end of your business, right? Make sure everything's structured properly. And then we can take you to the people that we know and get you funded for your business correctly. Not where you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, I gotta make payroll, I gotta take another MCA. Nah, we wanna get you out of that. We're not gonna offer you that. What we're gonna offer you is something that can really, really get your business and flourish it, push it to the next level. But if you come to receipts only, we'll be able to assist you. Now, once you get your tickets, we're gonna have a question, answer a question part of the whole event, so when you do come in, even if you don't get a VIP, you'll be able to ask some of your questions that you want at the event, because we'll have 30 minutes to an hour of just Q&A, right? So our object for this whole event is to assist our people in understanding how credit works and how this business world works. And if you have a business that you want to put together, and these people come at you with MCAs, do not take these loans. I don't care. Now, if you, like I said, the only reason I would take that if I needed to make payroll. That's the only reason I would take that loan, right? Or would you say, or if the cartel looking for you?
Yeah, the cartel, it's got to be something. And more importantly,
something crazy.
Yeah, but you have to be making good income. Yeah. Like, this is not for those that are barely making it. This is for those people that really are making large amounts of money, that have, different moves they can make to cover this if everything went bad. This is really not even for those that need it desperately. This is for those that are like, all right, I want a little extra, you know what I mean? And even still, I'd recommend you not doing that. We have other options. Some people, they come to us and they want the nonsense. That's an option. I personally, when I first learned about this whole process with funding and got into it years and years ago, I promoted it because I thought it made sense, because I didn't know what I know now.
Right.
And then after I see what happened with certain clients, I'm like, okay, some of them were able to pay it back, but that's only because they were at a certain level. If a lesser client that doesn't have millions or hundreds of thousands coming in every month, they take that loan, that could take them out of commission. So that's why we stopped, pushing that completely.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, when you sit down with us, even if that's the only route, we're probably not going to advise that to you, because once we look at your income and what comes into your business, if it's not significant, we're definitely not going to push you in that direction. First thing we're going to push to you is your personal credit. That's where it all starts. Because that way now you can take your personal credit and really go sit down with some real lenders and get the money that you need for your business. It's sad, really, to me sometimes when I sit down with clients and they have 2 or 3 of these things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm looking at their banking statements. I'm like, bro, you got 1 daily and 2 weeklies?
Right.
And then I look at what they're making and I'm saying to myself, how you paying your bills?
Right.
You know what I mean? You got another job or something else going on, because it doesn't add up. You know what I mean? It's not adding up because you're not making enough money to even
cover any of that. Yeah, they're not.
Even keep your business going, let alone pay these dailies and these weeklies off.
Exactly.
So if you don't have good credit, please, that's where you have to start. Mm-hmm. You got to start with good credit, because that's where all this stuff becomes. You won't even hear an MCA loan. Right. If you have good credit, they're going to come at you regardless, because that's the most popular, loan that's out there for businesses. But I advise, I'm sure Ashton agree with me, do not take a daily loan if you're making $10,000 a month. If you're making $15,000 a month, you know what I mean? Right. Even 20 at the most. If only way, again, and I keep reiterating this, is because it's so important for you to understand this right here could bankrupt you.
Right.
Right. This right here could take your business
take you out of the game.
Done. You're done. Your business is done. And again, it's an idea. Remember, a business, all it is an idea that you think I can make money off of. Mm-hmm. That's what a business is, right? So when you do have that idea, understand these banks will give you money, right? You just got to go in there with some good credit. Right, so you can grantor. You can be a personal grantor to this, right, and not go to an MCA where they listen. All they want is your social, your EIN, and 3 banking statements. Because that right there, they'll be able to put a lien against everything.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing you have to consider is when you have a situation where you can't use your bank account, and one of the things that they do is they'll make it where your merchant account can't even send payments. Like some of those people who use like QuickBooks, for example, as your merchant account, and some other places too, Cash App, they will block you. PayPal, they can block PayPal, Cash App, and QuickBooks at the same time from sending you money and depositing. So you might have a big deal you close, can't even pay it because now they want you to call them to then make an agreement where some of that money has to go to them, if not all. That's why I said, not to mention, we forgot to talk about getting sued.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's another problem. So you might get sued and then dealing with the legal battle of that. Now you got to hire a lawyer. Now that thing costs you a lot of money. Again, it's expensive to have bad credit. But also, the main number one problem that we're not even going over is if you have these issues, you have a payroll problem. Now your staff's mad. They're not doing the work. Clients are mad. Now they're not getting the service. What's that going to do? Cause bad reviews, loss of business. Now they're telling other people, they don't do things right. Even though you might have had the best of intentions, but because you took the wrong loan, and you can't even explain that because they're not going to give you opportunity to explain that story. You're just going to be bad whoever to them, because you didn't do this right or that right, especially in the service industry or even in products, whatever.
Right.
It's a bad situation. So that's why I said when it comes to getting funding, the preparation that we go through to make sure you have your stuff together is not normal to some people because they're used to, I just go and apply online and I get X amount of dollars and it's over with.
Right.
But you have to get the right type of funding so you can keep growing your business. That's why we teach about getting the right relationships with the right lenders. So now you can move forward, not just getting money just so we can post online, hey, we got this client X amount of dollars. No, We want to get you the right type of funding so you can grow the business and stay in business.
Yes, definitely. And if you need that assistance, receipts only tool. That's where you're going to get it at. We'll definitely be able to assist you with that. If you need, even when you hear this, you can go to receiptsonly.com, right? You can get a ticket. We got, like I said, we going to New York in October. Or you can email receiptsonly2025@gmail.com and let us know what's going on with your situation, and we'll be able to assist you. Receiptsonly2025@gmail.com. If you have an issue where you're dealing with these MCAs, shoot me an email. And that way we can sit down and at least take a look at it and see if we can assist you with it. Because if you're in bed with these people with this type of loan, it's only gonna get worse. It's not gonna, now, because like I just said, I had a client who got out of bed with them and then jumped right back. Because his credit was garbage, right? Instead of him sitting, but again, when I talked to him, he said, I had no other way. I had no other route to go. But guess what? He didn't call me till he did that. He called me after he took the loan. So he had another route. Right. He just chose, he was scared, which a lot of people, what happened to people, they get scared because they're looking at their bank account and they got $100 in there. And these people will offer you another $25,000 after you already paid them. The $25,000 that you got from them, you already just paid them $45 for the $25 you got. You know what I mean? You got to think of, they're just like, what's that place? They're like Renter Center.
Right. Right.
That's Renter Center for business.
Yeah, that's a great example.
You know what I mean? That's like Renter Center. Oh, they'll bring it. Listen, they will bring your furniture in.
Right.
They'll bring
it out.
They'll bring it to your house. They'll sit it down.
Wrap it up,
sit it where you want it. Oh, you want it in here? We'll sit it down for you.
Right.
Miss 2 payments.
Exactly.
They'll be knocking on your door.
Right.
Hey, you missed 2 payments.
Right.
We need that couch.
Exactly. Yeah. I know it's in there.
We dropped it off here 5 months ago.
Right.
You missed 2 payments 2 months ago. The next one we're going to be calling the police. We come to get our stuff.
Exactly.
Because you don't own it.
Right.
Right. They still own it. But that's when you think, I'm trying to put it into scenarios where people will understand what we're talking about. Because a lot of people that's not in business is thinking they're going into business. Right? And then they get to these situations and they like, oh, well, they're offering me $35,000 or $40,000.
Exactly.
Don't take it.
Right.
Like, it looks good. It looks good in the beginning until you start looking like, hold on. I'm paying $700 a week. $600 a week.
Right.
Right? Knowing you can't afford it.
Right.
Knowing you can't afford that, and now you put yourself in a situation. Yeah. Right? So and the reason we're here today is to try to get you to avoid that. Yeah. Right? We don't want you to make these mistakes. Because it really, in all honesty, I literally talked to a dude for I was trying to get this guy out of his he got that merchant account. I'm trying to get him out of that. Again, we're just talking about first in line, second in line, and all that positions. Right? So he was like, again, he's trying to sell it. Right? He's like, oh, nobody's gonna pay for them 2 MCA accounts, right? And they will. I think together he got like $40,000 in both of them. Somebody will pay for him, but only thing about it, I can't take him to a traditional lender because his credit's 580. Right. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna look at me like,
money on repairs.
Right. You know what I mean? So he has to get his credit repaired first, and then on top of that, when you get your credit repaired, please, oh God, please pay your bills on time. Yeah, pay your credit card. You can't have late payments. When you got late payments, your credit is going to go straight in the ground. You're going to lose so many points from non-payment. Listen, if you got a 20 or 30, whatever the credit card is, and you have to pay it, pay the minimum. Because it's not going to affect your credit then. Your credit's already screwed if you're that far in debt with a credit card. Right? So just pay the minimum. That way it won't go that far down. Because if you have a late payment on your credit card, I seen people's credit tank 50, 60 points from a late payment. Right. You know what I mean? And when that happens, guess what? People get discouraged, and guess what? They don't pay the next month. Yeah. So now it's gonna go another 50 points. Exactly. Now you was at 720, 710. Now you're at 500. Right. So with us, again, we do the back end. We help you with the funding, but with the credit, our brother Umar will be able to assist you with that, right? So we're gonna start calling us the ROT, Receipts Only Tour.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There.
ROT, nothing to mess with.
Right. Yeah. But that's what it is. You know, we get into a lot more details with all the different types of funding, credit, and more, business as a whole. So we just want to make sure you're there. October 11th, we'll give out the location and all that soon, but you got to definitely get to the Receipts Only website so you can get that information and get your tickets. We even have VIP options as well, so you can actually get some consultations and things such as that. So definitely make sure you get your tickets. You're there live. It will be in New York. We'll get you the location specifics soon, but just make sure you're there October 11th.
Yeah, definitely show up. You know, because at this point right now, there's a lot of folk. Like there's a lot of clients that we have coming through right now who are in the MCA situations.
Right.
And they're struggling like this, and it's stressful.
Right. Very stressful.
These people, you know, the first thing they say is, you know, I can't afford it. Right. But you know, one thing about our brother Umar, he does litigation too. Right. So I would rather you have it on your personal account because Umar can go assist you with that. You know, if you got a collections on there, Umar can go get that off for you.
Right.
Hey, bad credit into good money. Hey, I love myself.
Exactly.
I love myself.
Yeah,
you know, but no, I you know, this cast here again, it's Receipts Only side chats.
Exactly.
You know, this is a side chat from me and brother Ashton. We want to assist you as far as with your funding and make sure you're making the right decisions. So again, I want to thank my man Chris, my man
Thank
Umar.
you, Chris. Thank you,
Peace
Umar.
to the guys in earth.